So today we have Brian from Baker Boy. Brian, I actually have to say thank you so much for taking time out to come into us, because I know you are 12 months of the year, 7 days a week,
non-stop.
up the walls.
Yeah.
It's like a holiday to you, is it?
It's his time out.
You have to sit down.
Yeah, sit down for an hour or whatever. That's my time out, yeah.
And have a chat. But Brian, thanks for coming in. You're
Not
so,
a problem.
so,
Thank
so
you for
good.
having me.
Yeah, you're good. Because cake, I've been excited about. I love eating your cake, obviously, but we actually get to have a chat about what goes on behind the scenes when I'm actually just standing there robbing your cake. Usually at a show.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like, I always bring X amount for customers and I bring X amount for the suppliers at the shows. Like,
and you even brought little boxes for us at the last show. We gave
you've
out
seen
little
how this
gift
stage,
boxes
like, you know what I
coming
mean?
home. I went to my mum and dad's house on the way home and I had cake and I was like, Mum, I've got some cake. She was like, I'll have that one.
Even all the staff that I say would take them as well. Like, when you're doing hotel wedding fairs as well, like, they're all.
Oh, you're so
and
good.
it's so funny because they have to get permission to take the cake off me.
Oh, right,
okay. They're not allowed to eat the cake, like, so.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it could be free for all, to be fair. Yeah, to be fair. And actually, before we go any further, because I my friend is going to give out to me if I don't say this. So I'm supposed to say, asking for a friend whose name is Alice Kidney. What is in your white chocolate biscuit cake is our only question. You
Rollers, munchies and Maltesers.
You're actually going to... I was going to say you don't have to answer.
No, with biscuit cake like that, you can put whatever you want into it. Yeah, so, but my signature one would be the rollers, munchies and Maltesers.
Okay.
Because she'll get the caramel mixing through it and the whole lot, and that's where...
She'll be delighted and mortified.
Yeah.
Make sure we put this on Instagram later on. Alice Kidney, on repeat. But going back to cake. I suppose when it comes to picking a cake, right, so you've got like the aesthetic, beautiful looking cakes, but then there's the taste.
Yeah.
What would you prioritise?
Taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's food. Do you know what I mean? I suppose like more over everything. Yes, your cake can look amazing and what have you, but you want it to taste as good because, you know, as much as people will say, like when you're at a venue, what have you done about the meal.
Yes.
They also taste the cake. And like if that cake is bad, you know what I mean, if it falls apart or if it's crumbly or if it's dry or whatever, that goes out as well and it'll fall back on you and, you know what I mean, it'll affect everything. So you want the taste. And there's one thing I'm very proud of with my reviews when I have it, people always say the cake tastes better than it looked. And that's what you want.
That is a really good compliment, in fairness, because your cakes look amazing.
Yeah.
So the taste is actually, so I suppose that is, and when it comes to actually tasting your baker's cake, I suppose, before you book them as well. That's
it. Like the way like obviously like, there's a couple of ways around like for tasting cake. Like the majority of people, let's say, when you're doing your wedding fairs and what have you, I always bring samples. You know what I mean? It's not general that cake will bring samples because I know others that don't, but I do bring samples. And when I'm doing it, I also, and I'm killed over it that the portions are too big, but like I always bring
like
in
a slab of cake.
Yeah, but that's, you know what I mean? When you're at a wedding fair or at a wedding and your cake is cut up, it's inch by inch. That's what your portion control goes at. So I haven't cut that size so the couples know then the size of the cake they're going to get on the day, and that's my thinking behind it. You need to taste the cake. Makes sense. You can't taste your cake if it's that size, so that's why I always have the bigger sizes that you can taste.
And you tend to have a pretty wide range when it comes to like I suppose the most popular you get asked for, is that kind of what you'd bring?
Yeah,
in a sense.
5 or 6 most popular ones, like
the white chocolate biscuit cake.
Yeah.
That everyone's obsessed about. And you mentioned cake cutting. And I know this seems like, sure, you just cut the cake and people take pictures and it's as simple as that. But there's actually, it's when you cut the cake and there's different. There's so much now, isn't there?
Coming on board with that, like in changes in, I suppose, like traditionally it was, I suppose when you go there after your meal, it was cut the cake and service, right? Yeah. But that then, I don't see that anymore. From the point of view, I said there was so much wastage of cake. Like you're after a big 4 or 5 course meal and then they're putting cake in front of you as well. It's not going to be eaten, you know what I mean? And so now the couple will go up, take a photograph, just for the cheering in to get mortified, and because the photographer has the photograph done at that stage already, and then the cake tends to be served later on.
Okay.
But there's different ways around that now as well.
Yeah, because there was we've done a couple of weddings together where I think it was last summer, the summer before, where it was nice. They had you call it a naked cake where it's lots of
berries.
Fruit, berries
and fruit.
And when they arrived to the venue, and this would have been like say 3:30, 4 o'clock in the day, they actually cut their cake right there and then. Yeah. And then they served it to people in the drinks reception before they dined, which was really lovely.
Yeah, I do more and more of that now, let's say, with people, let's say they're having in-house ceremonies. Okay. Especially with a naked cake, because they say that's made fresh that morning, and you know what I mean, it could be the moistest cake in the world, but the longer that cake is out there, because there's no, let's say, like buttercream around it to keep it from drying out or whatever, it does dry out. If that's inside in a room full of people, that night...
it's just going to create heat, isn't it?
Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. But so, like, people are doing, like, the afternoon tea style party, and they're serving it, on their invites, let's say, like, the ceremony 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
And then you might see cake cutting ceremony at 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
And even now the lads are coming on board with that, and they're doing their speeches around that as well. So they're changing things around.
I've seen speeches in the drinks reception, and a lot of people are kind of just bringing it more into the daytime rather than the nighttime part of it, if that makes sense. But because there is a lot to it, and I suppose there's the day 2 then as well. Some people, do they cut their cake in day 2?
A lot of people are going now from last year. I've seen a big trend last year, let's say, like that the cake was there that night. But again, because there's so much food, and when they do tend to serve the cake at 11 o'clock that night, you already have other finger food that is included in your package. Whereas day 2 now I'm finding is becoming nearly as big as day 1, where they're still having parties of like 100 plus and what have you. So they're not cutting the cake in day 1, they're saving it for day 2. And like they're having a cake, so pay for it, you know what I mean, use it up on day 2. And couples, I always find like the big thing I'm finding is, let's say, like on day 1, like it might be the case of the granny or the mum or the aunt, whatever, will sit down and have a slice of cake.
That's true. They're looking forward to the bit of cake. Yeah.
Whereas on day 2, then it's the younger crowd are sitting down looking for the piece of cake, like when they're having their meal. Exactly, they want, they're more interested in the savoury and the bar.
Lucas the cake.
Exactly, a bit of energy to keep going for day 2, like, you know what I mean? And that's what I'm finding with couples. Or like that again, let's say, do you know what I mean? Like on average, let's say a 3-tier will do 120 to 140 for portion control.
Wow, okay.
But like a lot of weddings I'm finding this year, like they're around the 200s, the 220s, what have you.
They've gotten much bigger, haven't they? The numbers have come way, because there was a trend of 100 to 120.
Yeah.
And I find this year asking people, it's all over 200.
Yeah,
if not creeping over the 300. Yeah. It's changed again, hasn't it? Yeah.
But they're still staying with the 3 or 4 tier cake.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like to feed that amount of people, you would. It's nuts. Like you wouldn't want it. But people are bringing
the cost
cakes
as well. Like the bigger your cake, I'm assuming the more it's going to cost
exactly,
you.
You know what I mean? And like, you know, I suppose like that, like, is it because depending on if you're a cake eating family, I've done like 3 and 4 tier cakes where only 1 tier was cake.
Yeah.
It's just they weren't cake eaters and they were just doing it for the photographs or
just for the look.
Just for the look or to keep family members happy and stuff like, you know what I mean? So like there's tons of ways around it, like. And
I suppose where you place the cake as well in your venue, be it day 1 or day 2, it's so important as well, though. It's like, because you put so much thought into the cake. Yeah. It should be a bit of a focal point.
Yeah. A lot of hotels now are changing around, let's say, from that, let's say the cake is shoved in the corner or, do you know what I mean, to the left or to the right. I'm
going to share my pet hate, and this might be people a hint and tip. You go into a beautiful room and it's stunning, and the only corner that was left free is under the emergency exit door and the emergency exit sign. It's your wedding cake. Don't put it by the emergency exit door.
There's another place I see that they actually place it in front of the bar.
Oh no!
Yes, it's my pet peeve in display, and it's in front of the bar. But
the two of us will be there going, is anyone looking? Right, you get that side, I'll grab this side. Turn it into the room so that, because you think about these things. Yeah, because you've thought about how your cake's going to look.
That's it, and there's so much thought and time what have you going into your cake and what have you in your design and chatting about it, and then you go into a hotel, you're thinking,
where will I put it?
Where will I put it?
Yeah.
Like, I was thinking the corner.
But it should be part of your table plan.
That's it.
Yeah, if it's going to go in your banqueting room, it should be really thought about. Now, some places have a great kind of, they have their area for their cake, and it's beautiful.
There's one gorgeous. Yeah, on a stage. And there's all draped lighting behind it, and they do like candle work and the whole. It's just a magnificent.
And it becomes a focal point. Yes. Yeah, and everyone kind of goes up, and the bride and groom aren't even there, but they're just photographing the cake. Yeah. Because it looks so pretty where it is.
And it's higher up, let's say, even for the bride and groom to go up, like they go up onto the stage and take the photograph with the cake and whatever. It's just
and everybody can get their shot then as well. When everyone goes, get the iPads out, and they go mad. Yeah.
There's another place that does it. It's in the castle and whatever. And they actually have it in one of the towers in the ballroom. And
big sword, cutaways, and
it's gorgeous. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
But these things are all things to think about, I think, because you've put thought into your cake, put time into where you're going to put it. Because I know when you go in, like obviously, and we'll talk about this a bit more, you have to set up where you have to set the cake up, but you've been told that's where the cake's going. Set the cake up there. You can't really be like, I don't know about that now. Aesthetically, it might be nicer over there.
I've had it in some hotels where you're going in, let's say in the bride and groom, when we sit at the consultation, we'll sit down and like, because I've done so many hotels now, I know what the room and the layout is going to be and what have you. So we'll say, look, X place, this is where your cake's going. Yeah. And I go in then the room is set up and I was told the cake is going over there, and I goes, no, the bride wants it here, and you're trying to convince.
But at least you know that though as well, because you've got that.
You don't always get your own way, because the hotels are, always right.
Oh, Brian, let's not get into that. We'll piss everyone off before the end of this conversation. But I suppose for you as well, like you were saying about like the naked cakes and drying it and things like that. Like you do, like if there's a beautiful window and it's a summer's day, not going to put your cake.
No,
like,
and same with
you have to
weddings
be,
are becoming more and more popular, like and what have you. And again, let's say you have to take that into consideration. Like
Or
How long
under
is-
a heater.
Yes, yeah. Or
It's just melting the cake.
yeah, or they say in the marquee the pig is roasting here and the cake is standing here. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, so yeah, do you know?
Like, this is a very smoky tasting
Yeah,
cake.
you have to take all that stuff in. Do you know what I mean? Where you're
Yeah.
where you're setting up the cake. Let's say, do you know what I mean?
Okay.
What way you want it done, how you're serving it, time for serving it. Do you know what I mean? And
Okay.
there's a lot to.
Yeah, and I suppose when we'll kind of, before we go away from the taste side of things, because it's just so important.
Yeah.
When it comes to tasting a cake, a lot of people, they might have an idea. Like when I think chocolate biscuit cake is something that just comes into my head because I love chocolate biscuit cake.
Yeah.
That's me. But then there's other cakes as well that I've tasted and went, I never thought I'd actually like that. And it's kind of like to keep yourself open to possibilities and like because everything from red velvet to there's so many
Lemon,
different
raspberry,
types.
white chocolate,
That's
passion
it.
fruit, white chocolate,
Yeah.
lime, coconut, whatever. Like there's endless possibilities out there with flavors of cake. And
Okay.
like I used to do a multitude of flavors, but I just find at the same time, like I know it's the couple's big day.
Yeah.
It's what they want and what have you, but I'm still finding them when couples, when they're coming to do their consultations,
Yeah.
you're still trying to think of what cake could be used.
Well, this is true. The other 100 or 200 people also
Might
need to
be
eat
like
it.
something with lavender and rose water or something in it.
Okay.
It might be your flavouring.
Yeah.
So like what I'm finding, like people were going like 2 tiers of generic cake.
Okay.
As in, not generic, but you know what I mean?
The
like
more
the
popular
biscuit cake or the
tastes,
lemons
yeah.
or whatever. And then they might have that top tier that's their flavour. That's we're not cutting that, we're taking that home for ourselves. Because that's the flavour they like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's not been touched. And that's where people are coming around and you know what I mean? Like the champagne cakes and stuff like that. Again, do you know what I mean? It could be the bride's favourite cake, but not everybody will like it. You know what I mean? So that's
And the bride and
where-
groom could, or bridegroom could have opposite thoughts as well about
Exactly.
like, well, half of it's going to be yours and half of it's going to be mine.
Yeah, that's it, exactly. Like so, that's where you can still do a lot of flavors and what have you,
Okay.
but to try and consider what flavors will be used up because you won't be eating all 3 tiers of the cake. It's
So much
guests will
cake.
be eating it.
So
Yeah,
much
exactly. And people don't realise it. When people say, "Oh, do you know what I mean? I want a 3 tier cake and what have you," will I have enough cake?
You think you'd be alright.
You,
Yeah,
you
you'd be
will
okay.
have loads, like, do you know what I mean? Especially if you're cutting it up for your guests day 1 and day 2.
Okay, no, that makes sense. And because I know the whole, remember the traditional way of like, it was like, was it fruitcake?
Fruitcake and white icing
And then you'd freeze your fruitcake?
for the first.
Yeah, for the christening. That's not
Because
really
now
done
many
now, is
couples
it?
like
Yeah.
that job is done and dusted, like done to the first christening.
Okay.
So a lot of couples are keeping it for the first anniversary is what I'm hearing now at the moment. Like,
that's a
and
nice
because
idea.
they say the likes of your biscuit cake or lemon, they all
Yeah.
freeze.
They will
once
freeze.
They're once they're
Okay.
wrapped in grease roof and what have you, and then cling film or you know what I mean. Once they're wrapped well, they will freeze.
I wish I knew that at my wedding, because I think we just ate it all because we felt it might go to waste.
No,
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Well, like even for me, like what we were 24 years married this year.
Okay.
So back then, if you did me the dairy cake, it was like hell. You shouldn't be doing anything like that for a cake. It's your wedding cake. It had to be fruit cake. But like I remember, we did 70 years. I just I had to do something big.
Well, you know, cake is who you are, though, Brian. So you had to go
and
all
it
out
was
with the
actually
cake.
5 tiers of fruit cake. It was like big slabs
the
of
weight
fruit.
of that.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Now we did a big water fountain and stuff. And
Of course you did.
You know what I mean? And
Fireworks.
it took 2 cars to bring it down to the hotel that day and set it up.
That's
the whole
brilliant.
morning.
Was that the book? Was forget the wife? It was all about.
I was all about, yeah, she just told me what colour she wanted and I did everything else, like, do you know what I mean? And myself and one of the grooms, when the 2 of us went down in our 2 cars that morning to set up the cake below in Garryvaux.
So you made your own wedding cake?
Oh yeah, gotcha. Yeah. In between, like I remember the day before, like between collecting people from the airport and what have you, I was trying to finish off wedding cake, but we got there, like, do you know what I mean?
But I suppose it's kind of like it's hard though. Who else? Like I know there's other people that are very good at what they do, but you know you kind of want you
Yeah,
like
I
what
always make
you
my
do
own cake.
most.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. Do you know what I mean? John, like I would shock, alright. Like if I got a cake. Okay, now I must say my wife made me a 40th birthday cake, which was fab, and all the kids got involved in whatever.
Okay, that's a nice surprise. Yeah. But you enjoy it though.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I think that's the difference
Yeah.
between I have to do it rather than I want to do it.
No, I
It's two very different
absolutely
things.
love doing it. Like I
Okay.
love sitting. Okay, there's times there 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, like when you're finish your cake and you're holy God, like you know.
And
but
would
it's
you
just
would that be the type of hours like in the busy
during the
season?
summer, yeah, when you're mentally
Really?
busy.
And do you sleep then at all, Brian, or?
So, sometimes, yeah, we get there. We get sleep here and there. As Liz always says, I get a power nap. If I get my half-hour power nap, I'm ready to go.
Can't do
again,
that.
like.
I can't do half hour. Like I'll
No,
try
no.
it and I'm done for the day. Yeah.
No, I'm open
Okay.
like energized as a bunny. She says, "Not ready to go again."
Are you
Like,
serious?
yeah, once I
But
get there.
because I suppose you can't be like, right, okay, I'm going to bake all my cakes today for the end. Like it has to be fresh.
I know it's
so
fresh,
you don't really
like,
have an
so,
option.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like from weddings, like it's always, I suppose, it's always a 3 day. That's kind of like the way I
Okay.
work it. So let's say if you're starting this example, if your wedding is on a Saturday,
Yeah.
at the start of the week on the Monday, you're sitting down doing your list and you're doing your planning. And if you can get ahead with decorations, you're getting that prep work
that's true,
done.
actually. Okay.
On a Wednesday, then it's always my plan is always on a Wednesday. It's bake day in the morning.
Okay.
But before you go to bed that night, they're layered and they're ganached and ready in the fridge, then sitting overnight. So they settle overnight, and then the next day you're icing them. Because I always have with a 3-tier or 4-tier, I always do it at home. I assemble them at home.
Okay.
Now I know other couples assemble them on site, and it's just, do you know what I mean?
Well, I suppose you can get it completely 100% the way you want it, can't you?
Yeah,
Before it leaves the house.
Yeah, and
yeah.
I just so used to doing it that way. It's just my way of doing things.
Yeah.
But they always have to be sanding and settled the night before, so that way then there's no fear. Anyway, they're dowed and supported and what have you.
So it's almost like a 3-day process.
Yeah.
For one wedding cake.
Yeah,
That's mad.
Yeah.
So I can see why you're up at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, so like you do, let's say, I mean, you're starting from, as I said, from the Wednesday to bake off, but on that Wednesday, every day they're baked off fresh in the morning. As I said, they're layered and ganached, ready for icing then for the Thursday. So on Thursday then, depending on your decoration, like you get them iced firstly, and then you start your decoration and whatever, because decoration, that's where,
that's probably where the time goes.
That's where the time comes in,
okay.
you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they said, just for example, there's one decoration, it's called frills. It's like ruffles and stuff on a cake.
I think I've seen it, yeah.
Yeah, you can go from, and that can take anything from 4 to 8 hours to do ruffles on a bottom tier. So, like, you need that time the day before to start and getting your work. And if you have 2 or 3 wedding cakes on the go for 1 week, so you could be adding a layer, going to the next cake, adding that, and then you're coming back. So it's a production line.
Crazy, yeah. Because one of the questions I was going to ask at the end was like, kind of, people say, how can I justify spending money? And it's the same with everything. That much money in a band or that much money on a wedding cake. I think you've just justified it there.
Even let's say when you're putting flowers, if you're making flowers like for a cake, you know what I mean? Like, I do X amount of prices for your cake, but flowers are an additional add-on because, like, I suppose I'm kind of known as well from flower work on cake. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I do. Every petal, like a rose will take, Anthony, like make a rose from up to 15 minutes per rose. Like there's another flower, dahlia, and that thing's over the length of time, it could take up to 2 hours to make one flower, or a peony, or, you know what I mean? So that's where your time and stuff comes involved in it. Like,
and then it's not just that, it's all then, like, because you always deliver the cake, obviously, then to the venue, they're getting married in, and then you have to, like, so there's the commute time, and then there's the setup time, because it's not just like, whip it out of the van and there you go, lads, it's in a box, sorted out there.
Yeah, no, it's very time consuming, and people don't get to see that side of things. And then in between, let's say, like, you've the emails and you've the messages.
Well, yeah, all the admin that goes along with everything. Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
and I suppose before they're at the point where they've chosen their cake, a consultation is something that you would do with a couple. So they might have tasted it already, but is there like a tasting consultation just before the wedding? Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's kind of worked. There's several ways I've worked at it. Let's say, like, first of all, let's say if you've been like at a wedding fair or a hotel fair, I always have samples there so they get to know the taste of
before
the cake.
They actually say, here's the booking fee and I'm booking
or
you
let's
for my wedding.
Can we book you for a consultation and then come along for a chat? So for the way I work things, then I would have specific dates and times. I said that the couple, let's say on Saturdays they're in X and on Monday evenings they're in Y, and there's different time slots and you can book into your time slot, come in there, and I have a load of selection of favours. I'm always killed that I have too much cake there, but that's, do you know what I mean? You need to taste the cake. Do you know what I mean? You need to know what you're...
Well, this is true. Well, this is why you're purchasing it, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the taste factor. It's the enjoyable part
exactly,
of it.
like, so they'll sit down and eat whatever cake they want, and they can discuss then about their designs and what have you, and they'll go away and take it and take it.
That sounds like the most fun type of consultation.
It's the one time I always see the grooms. Always see the grooms at it. Like, you might see them at the wedding fair, but you'll always see them at the wedding, the consultation. Like.
Yeah, my consultations are really boring now. There's no cake at mine.
Yeah,
just
bring in some cake into
bring some cake, exactly.
And then I do a final consultation. Then once they've booked in, I do another consultation, and that can be anything.
So there's quite a lot of process to it.
Yeah. And that can be anything then from 3 months, 2 months, a month. Even sometimes I've met couples on a Monday that are getting married on a Friday, and that's due to just time constraints that they could be coming back, travelling, what have you. And to me, that's no stress. Do you know what I mean?
As long as they get in before the Wednesday to get baking.
The cake is made fresh. So, do you know what I mean? Like, beforehand, if it comes down to on a Monday, we'd have a fair idea where we're going with the design in case I have to make flowers.
Yes.
But the cake is made fresh, so that's no panic with that. Yeah, there's no stress.
And then when it comes to the actual design side of things, like, it's endless. I've seen so many different types of cake.
Anything goes.
And I know sometimes like things can be a little bit on trend, like a certain colour. Or
it's blue this year. It's kind of like a pale blue last year. Or this year, the Pantene colour was coral last year into blue this year.
Yeah.
I don't find, you know what I mean? I know Pantene put out this big colour every year, but last year I think I'd only 2 wedding cakes for the whole year that had this coral colour.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I found like the blues and the greens and hunter greens and navies.
do they match it in with their invite colours and the bridesmaids colours, like the theme of their day? Like they bring it into their cake a bit as well. Sometimes this was not all the time.
Not all the time, depending on your colour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's say sometimes like you'll have the blush pinks and whatever, the blush peaches and all this kind of like pastel shades of colours, and yes, they'll bring them into the cake.
Okay.
With navies and what have you, like it's quite dark, but now you can, and I've done it a good few times. You know what I mean? Even let's say having a bottom tier navy, and then you might do a navy and white marble tier, and then a white top tier that you
kind of breaks it up.
Breaks it up. But more often than not, I suppose it depends on your theme for the wedding, whether you want something classical and elegant or something like at the end of the day, like in 20 years time, you'll be still looking back at your cake, and
that's true.
It could be pinks that are on trend then, like, and think, oh God, what did I go with that cake
Don't do
for?
it just because it's on trend.
Exactly.
It should be what you love.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? And to fit your styling at the wedding, like, do you know what I mean? I've seen brides. I remember it was going about 2 years ago. I did this mad cake. It was all like a drip cake.
Okay.
Right, but I mean the colours were psychedelic. I mean really like luminous pinks and blues and reds and what have you, and like all dripping down, and
like the as if the icing's almost melting
down the side, and they were like mixing in together, such as like rainbows. In fact, it was a mad cake. It was off their invites. Their invites were all this big splashes of colour. And she had 4 bridesmaids, and they were all different colours, so it was all about colours to them.
Okay.
But they're setting them as a castle, so I thought, oh my God, like such a modern cake and what have you, and they're setting as a castle. The contrast is
great though sometimes, isn't it? It really is.
It was just fab. Like, I mean,
you probably enjoyed that then as well, something different.
I had just something totally different, and like when you do something like that, then people are, oh my God, that's mad. So I've done that cake several times because people just love it. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So
it gets added to the portfolio. This is a possibility. Because I've seen, like, obviously, you said like the colour can be a big thing, and then I've seen quite novelty cakes as well.
Oh, that's a big thing. When the lads are getting involved.
Oh, stop. When the men decide they're going to have... It's when they can't decide. I suppose... I don't know whether they can't decide or... And then half the cake is like this really pretty, like, wedding cake, and then you turn it around, and it's like the Batcave.
I have, like... And then, like you just said, Batman, superheroes. I've one coming up in a couple of weeks' time, and the bride is actually as mad as the groom this time around. So they've actually compromised that they're getting 2 tiers each. So I think at the moment, like, there's a Harry Potter and there's a Batman, and... they're still trying to decide on the other 2. I know there's a Star Wars tier there, and then she's trying to do it another thing.
But they're just doing
But they have their pretty side on the front.
They do. Yeah. And it's nice because it almost looks like the cake is almost like you're like opening a curtain, and like this is what's going on inside. Like
that's it. And now there should be like I have a big rotating turntable, so like it rotates very slowly. So guests will get to see it as well.
That's great because before, like I've been in a couple places where there wouldn't have been a rotating, and you're kind of the cake is obviously situated one position, usually quite close to a wall, and then you're there trying to very delicately turn the cake. So you can get his side as well as her side, But it's great because there is endless possibilities, I suppose.
Anything. I mean, I did a big one there in Castlemartin there last year. And like with there, because like I said, the cake is in the middle of the room, as in their drinks reception room, let's say when you're walking in. And that's why like a lot of the venues are doing that as well. Like, well, it creates a bit of depth as well.
Exactly, it's lovely.
And when you're walking past it and all of a sudden you come into the back of the cake and you see this other big cake again, like it's totally different from the front of it, and it's a nice surprise as well. Like, and because you can make it personalised to the couple. You know what I mean? Whether you're painting silhouettes on it, let's say into their hobbies, or
adding in like a little touch of if they've got a child or a dog. There's always dogs on cakes.
Always. Always.
Like, everything from little paw prints going up to like an actual drawing, as you said, like a silhouette of their little dog.
That's their babies as well. Like, and like some of the hotel venues won't allow animals or dogs in there. Others do, and that's how they want to include their
but I love that though. So it's kind of a mixture between you'd have a lot to show people to inspire design, and then they can bring in. Forget all that. This is what I want, and you're happy to go with it.
Yeah, we did one there. I think it's back about 2 years ago now. Yeah. And the couple did their whole story from when they first met at a disco. So we did the disco. It was actually an 80s disco. That's what exactly it was. So like we did disco ball, and it was a 70s disco because I remember they had flares because I had to make sure there was flares on the pants, and with the disco ball, and then we did the date of the year they met, and the next one then they like got engaged, and then the next one. Lovely. It was all their years going, it was 4 tiers of cake.
So their cake is their story.
The story from the top to the, you know what I mean? Or like that, if a fella was into golfing.
Okay.
And his thing is going to golf tournaments. So we did like 4 major golf tournaments up the back of the cake, like as well. Like,
that's
you know
brilliant.
What I mean? Like, I mean, and it's nice to see that the lads are taking more of an interest in
it. That's it. I find the grooms are almost as more proactive recently than the brides are. To be honest.
I have more calls now as well, like from grooms wanting to book cakes and coming for the consultations and the whole lot.
Don't tell her, but I love that.
Yeah. Or like you'll get the
Gets
groom
in
and they're
trouble.
sitting down and they're talking about everything and what have you, and they're kind of like settled on the design. Next minute, about a day later, then you get an email from the bride, scrap that, that. Do you know what I mean? I'll go back to this way, like, you know.
Back to the drawing board.
I'm not getting involved with the two of you halfway, you know, and settle it
You
between
can have that fight later.
Yes, exactly.
And when it comes to the actual size of the cake, I know you said 3-tier seems to be, that's probably the most, what you ask for the most.
Most generic size wise, like it's a 10-inch, an 8-inch, and a 6-inch.
Okay.
Like people will go a 4-tier cake, which would be a 4-inch cake on top. I just find that then as a dummy cake. It's only a small cake, so it's not worth doing it. Like, you know what I mean? So a lot of people do that as a dummy
What's
cake.
the biggest you've ever been asked for? Or was it your own 7-tier for your own wedding?
Tier wise, it was the biggest would have been my own, like, do you know what I mean? But I've done like 5s and 6 tiers, like, do you know what I mean? And then you're going, because you're going from 4, it's kind of like your smallest, so you're going 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I actually have a 14-inch round cake in at home. Does that well? It just fits into the oven.
I was going to say, does it fit in the oven? It's like a Christmas, you know, when you get the turkey and then you realise the turkey doesn't fit in the oven.
It just fits into the oven. Or if you're doing a biscuit cake, like it's a whopper of a cake, even trying to lift it.
That's it.
That cake is assembled on site.
Okay, that's fair enough. I was going to say, like, I know the van is big, but like, it's not that big.
Jeez, I'm not believing me. I'm not Schwarzenegger like lifting cakes like that.
And then I suppose you can go the other side as well. You don't have to go 3-tier. You could go 2, or even just a simple. I've seen simple 1-tiers. Yeah. People, they just want the token of, this is my wedding cake, but I'm not going to go mad into the cake.
Exactly. You know, I said, like, it would be a case of they're not big cake eaters.
Yes.
They could be having a cheese wheel tower and stuff like that. So a lot of people are doing that as well, and then they're just having like a single cake or something beside it. You know what I mean? And I think that's, I suppose, like, it's keep the traditional part of it alive about cutting the wedding cake. So they still had that bit of it there, even though it's only a single cake, but it's still part of it there. Like,
I know it is, and it's still a big part of the day. And sometimes you see cupcakes. Do you do cupcakes then as a fast?
They do cupcakes as well. I don't find it as big now.
There was about 2 years ago. I think it was huge, wasn't it?
Cupcake. But they're like, it's personally to me, I just think they're a waste of a cake because, you know what I mean, at the end of the day, like, as we said when we're talking about cake and they're cutting it that night, like, when you're cutting your portion size, it's an inch by inch size. Okay. You're
getting a lot more portions, aren't you?
Oh God, yeah. Well, and let's say, like, okay, you might sit down and eat that size of a cake. Okay. You're not going down and eat a full cupcake that night. It'll, like, 1 or 2 bites and it's going to be gone because you're not going, and it's going to be wasted. That's it. So
and I think that was the idea, that people would just go help themselves, wasn't it? It was like you could just pick up a cupcake and walk away with it. But as you said, like,
and that's why I found, like, from that of a wastage. I remember you can go back a year, go to the last year, and a bride myself, we had, she wanted 100, and she was 150 going to the wedding. Okay. And she wanted 150 cupcakes.
I was going to say, if it's over 100, would you do, like, that's a lot of cupcakes.
No, like I said,
how would you even display 150 cupcakes?
Well, you could do, let's say you're still, you have towers, that you get your cupcake towers and what have you, they'll go into 150. The rest of them are in the box in the kitchen, so they can come out later on, like, do you know what I mean?
Okay, but then would that box even probably be used? That's the thing, like.
They wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, I remember, I actually bait her down to 120 cupcakes because I said, like, with a big stick. We just said, look, that is too many to have, and what have you have a load of waste. And I remember I was actually at the same hotel the next day, and I said, just for pig on, count how many cupcakes there was left. There was 110 cupcakes left.
Stop.
Yeah, there was only 10 used.
Oh no.
Do you know what I mean? No, she was only having a day too as well, but it wasn't a big day too. Yeah. So that's why
you force a cake on people the next day. Eat the cake.
Take some cupcake home there to the family, like, you know what I mean? So that's
because I know when they cut up the cake, they usually don't cut the whole cake up that night. They'd cut part of it up, give that out to the evening after the dinner, and then I suppose you can give it to family members as well to bring home, couldn't you? Like, if you wanted to.
You used to get these little boxes, like your wedding cake box and whatever, but I haven't seen them. I have one couple actually looking for them at the moment because they just want to do it because
they just want to give it to family members kind of thing afterwards.
And going home because they have a lot of family. They would have, it's an American couple, an Irish couple, and they want to give some family members go back to the States, let's say some cake and what have you. But like a lot of people, like when you're going to venues like that and what have you, you know what I mean, with your wedding coordinator, chat with them. Like they're, like, as much as we'll have an idea, but they're on site working with the weddings all the time. Yeah. So they'll know that night.
What the portion
exactly.
Was,
so like you could say like a third of the top tier, half the bottom tier, just do all the top tier and leave the other ones. Yeah. There's loads of different ways, and there's loads of different ways then of displaying it in as well. Like I know some, let's say hotels, let's say when they're doing the food at night, it's a buffet style. Yeah. So you come up and help yourself. Leave the cake there, have a little label, say this is your red velvet, this is your lemon, this is your chocolate, and leave them help themselves. So like you can control your portions better going out that what cake, oh look, the cake is gone, I'll use more, cut up another bit.
So they keep an eye on how it's going.
Yeah. There's no point in cutting up half
don't
of
wanna
each
waste
all the
it,
cake and
yeah.
it's on the table that nobody's eating.
Yeah.
Whereas having it by that way, you can keep an eye on things and it's better than
I like
that way as
that,
well.
yeah.
Like, yeah.
And you mentioned a minute ago dummy tiers, and I know this is something that like it's very obvious to you, and I've seen it before. But to some people, they probably never heard of a dummy tier.
Yeah.
And do you want to like kind of we'll elaborate on what a dummy tier?
Dummy tier is
kind of
is
it's
your,
self-explanatory, but yeah.
like a polystyrene tier. Like I
Okay.
suppose for anybody that has met me at wedding showcases or
Yeah.
wedding fairs, any cake that none of that's real cake.
Yeah. And it does look
Underneath
so
that is
real.
all let's say on the outside. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wouldn't like my health inspector to stick a thing into it like and test the icing.
We're not feeding that to
do you
people,
know
though.
what
It's
I mean?
fine. Yeah.
But like all that is polystyrene dummies. So like you get your polystyrene dummy and then you still ice it and decorate it the same as a cake.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's only and you can get those dummies in different heights. So like
Yeah.
you're matching like my on average height of the cake is about 5 inches in height per tier.
Okay.
So like I'll get 5-inch dummies and ice it and what have you. So
And you're just getting that extra height out of the cake,
Yeah.
and just more, I suppose, just a bit more kind of like wow factor.
Yeah,
Look at
like
the size of
people
the
who can
wedding
go,
cake.
let's say
Yeah.
like if they want a bigger 5 tier, they can go a 12-inch dummy and have 10, 8, 6 real cake and then back to 4 again.
Yeah.
Or you can go in between, like your dummy cakes can go wherever you want. It
So
doesn't
they
have
can even
to
be the bottom layer and then stack up because you can
Exactly.
support it in that way.
Yeah,
So
and
the
then you
structure,
even
yeah.
get spacers, which again are polystyrene dummies. Like you can get
Okay.
them in 2-inch or inch sizes,
Yeah.
and they can go in between the tiers. So you've added height to the cake again,
Okay.
and they'll just, I mean, they'll give the illusion of a massive cake, like, but there's no cake in it. Like, do you know what I mean? And you're not,
That's great.
They still add to the cost. That's I
Well,
suppose
because you still have to decorate.
yeah,
don't
you still have to
Yeah.
decorate it. People have this preconception that
So that'll be free.
That'll be free. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you still have to buy your dummy. You still have to buy your icing.
Yeah.
You still have all the work that goes on to it.
All the decorations,
It
same
doesn't
as
save a
thing.
pile.
Okay.
But do you know what I mean?
And
Saves-
it's you know what like if you've only got 80 guests going to your wedding,
Yeah.
but you want a 4-tier cake,
Yeah.
you know it's not going to go.
Yeah,
to
I would have a lot of
waste.
people
Yeah.
doing this, like that 4 tiers.
Yeah.
I've met couples of consultations on the other day, and we're doing 2 real and 2 fake.
Okay.
Just
yeah.
because
yeah.
they're not great cake eaters, and they're only having small day too. So
Okay.
and that's why, and they're actually coming back to Ireland to get married, and they're going home again shortly after. So it's doing 2 and 2,
Yeah.
and the cake will be gone.
Because you always have the couple that when they know the dummies are in it and they're kind of going, they're having the discussion between each other. It was the second one, wasn't it? That's
Yeah.
the dummy, and they're like, is it just you don't want to be like, right, we're going to cut the cake.
Yeah.
It's not going
exactly.
anywhere.
Yeah,
We're in the
like-
polystyrene one. Yeah, no, but these are all things that I think people just aren't aware. I suppose until you go to design your wedding cake, sure, why would you know
That's
it's
it, like
there?
you'll be sitting
Yeah.
down, you're talking to stuff, and like you'll get, can you do that with a cake? You know what I mean? But
How
you
does
can
that work,
anything,
like?
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Anything goes with cake. I would have also people, let's say, that have no interest in cake whatsoever, and
Yeah.
hire out a full tree display wedding
And
cake.
you can do that.
Yes.
You can get a display wedding cake just purely for the aesthetic side of things.
Exactly,
it's lovely.
yeah.
People can
They
go
can-
and look at the cake. It's gorgeous.
Yeah, and they have no
Yeah.
notion whatsoever. Like, and
Okay.
John could be made after making the fruit cake in the kitchen as a cutting cake, and it comes out, and
Oh, okay.
do you know what I mean,
Back
works
to the
into
traditional fruitcake.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you still have it. Like,
It'll always follow you.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to toppers, I know that like you're a baker, so like your cake designing
Yeah.
the cake, you wouldn't really do toppers.
I personally don't do toppers.
Yeah.
It's just I suppose there's too much time involved in them, which I'm kind of like, do you know what I mean? I don't have the time for them, but they do cost. You know what I mean? Let's say something you could be doing like a bride and groom and they want a family and whatever. Like they could be anything 6-8 hours on top of that work.
Sculpting out.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And I suppose people don't realise that, and when it is big money. Like there is a couple of companies out there that do them in clay. And
we got one of those done. We still have it.
Yeah,
it's
that's
great
what I
to have.
always recommend them because they will last forever and what have you. Like, and they can really personalize it. Like I've done it. I had one there last year and it was so funny. Like he was a doctor, so the doctor got a stethoscope. She was a nurse, so she had her hat in it. They had 2 dogs involved in it. He, I think, it was a Kenny jersey down on the ground beside him. Do you know what I mean? They really
you can really bring in your
and they
I
have
like
it
that.
in forever because it's done out of clay. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that makes sense because they're great the way they look because they look like they're made of.
Oh yeah, you're sending them
like you would not know it's clay. It's great in that
and then
way.
you're sending them off the pictures. Let's say here's a picture of my dress and what the groom is wearing, pictures of the bride and the groom, so they get to look at him as well, look like him as well. Like,
because I know people like to keep it simple as well sometimes, and it literally just says Mr. and Mrs. on it.
Yeah, you can get the 2D toppers as well. Like, and there's so many great companies out there as well.
Okay.
There's one in particular I use here, and let's say like she can personalize them. Okay. She can match in with the font of your invites.
Yeah.
She can do your colours. You know what I mean? And that's keeping your theme of the wedding following through through from the cake.
And when you're setting the cake up in the venue, then would they have the topper there for you?
The topper's always there for me.
Put it on, and the cake's complete then before you leave. Well, in best case scenario, that it's available. That space is available to you.
I've always for couples with me, let's say leave the stuff at the hotel.
Okay. Yeah.
Because
it'll be forgotten about.
I I can forget about it. Back home, get the topper and back to, so I always leave it.
Okay.
I always get it off the wedding coordinator.
Or it'll be in a box in the venue, but it just never got put on the cake. And then you realise afterwards, wasn't there supposed to be a topper on that cake?
Because that's what I always like when at the consultation, everything, I have my consultation list. So everything, and it's down to like toppers, at the venue, and do you know what I mean? So,
so you know exactly what's needed.
I know exactly what's needed. I have everything there. So this list comes with me to the venue. So I tick off my A, B, and C, and A, B, and C is there. Like, do you know what I mean?
And I know because when it comes to displaying cakes now as well, there's always different trends, but there's crazy ways to display cakes now.
Loads.
Everything from putting your cake on a swing. Yeah. That's something that's...
I finally got a chance to do it recently as well.
Exactly. I only got to see one recently. I was dying to see this. I was expecting it to be this like fixed hole or something, and it was like a base for cake, but it wasn't. It was a moving swing. I was on going, oh God, is the cake all right on the swing?
You'd be worried, will the weight of the cake support the weight of the cake?
That's it. And I suppose when it comes to things like if you were doing a swing cake stand, is that what they're called? I don't know. I suppose it is a swing cake stand. There would have to be a max on the weight though.
Without a doubt. And also, and the way you'd get around that would be, let's say, just for argument's sake, if you wanted a big 5-tier cake on the swing, do your dummy cake.
Yes.
And then have your real cake in the kitchen as a cutting cake. So that the weight is really taken out of it. Like, you know what I mean? Just
and the fear. It's on a swing.
I've seen cake, there's another thing as well where you hang the cake upside down. That you actually listen the small. Oh yeah, the smallest tier is at the. It's mad. It's mental that the smallest tier is on the bottom, and your cake gets bigger as you go up.
And it's suspended.
It's suspended.
And how does that work for you? Does it have to be dummy?
I've never tried it, so I can't. But I've watched a lot, and I'm waiting for someone to order one. But do you know what I mean?
It's a contingent nudge to anyone out there.
There's wires and like you have different supports through it. It's a structure you get for it, like, do you know what I mean? So there's no fear of it. But
so like the structure almost is like incorporated into the cake to hold it. Like I'm trying to imagine this. That's crazy. I really want to see one now.
Yeah, it's like I've seen one done like a chandelier. With like a load of crystals hanging off it all the way down, like, that's what the couple want, and it's just magnificent. Like, it's just something different.
Let's go cake mad though. Let's go cake mad.
Yeah, it was actually set in a big like heart shaped structure with all greenery and leaves around it, and then your cake was dangling in the middle, hanging upside down.
Because there's so much you can put around your cake with like flower walls and lanterns, and it's endless, isn't it? Like where the cake can be actually
loads
displayed.
You can do with it. Like, do you know what I mean? As a lot of people would do, let's say, like the pictures of the parents
on their wedding days.
If they've given like Mr. and Mrs. signs or given stuff like that. I know a photographer 9 times out of 10 they always tend to put the bouquets.
There's a little bit of extra colour because it's usually there's usually a little bit of colour there already, but it just like fills out. If it's a big table, it's on. Sometimes the tables are very, very big.
Yeah. I go into hotels and they're like an 8-foot dressing table.
And then the cake is.
Okay, where am I supposed to put the rest of the stuff?
And then the thing is, how do they reach the cake to cut the cake?
It is mental. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I suppose, like, there's so much stuff, as I say, you know what I mean? Your candles, like, I've seen a lot of people doing that with the candles, like the battery even operated candles. They look really well in glass vases and greenery around it.
And
or flower hoops.
Flower hoops. That's nice.
And that's lovely as well, like, you know what I mean? The tree trunks, there's a world of stands you can get, let's say, to add a height to your cake as well. Rather than just sitting on your normal silver stand that you'd see in the hotels, and I know 9 times out of 10 a lot of those stands are actually hidden underneath the tablecloth.
Yes, because the sparkly tablecloths are very much into the kind of glitter effect and
rose golds and silvers and whatever. Like, there's loads, there's endless flower walls. Yes, you can do with the flower wall. I'm not particularly a big fan of them. It's just because I think sometimes if you've your cake can get lost in it when you're taking photographs,
especially if it's a similar colour.
Yeah, exactly.
It's almost like it's camouflaging. No, if it's different, it's great. Or if there's a little bit extra distance, I think. But when it's I've had days like that where I'm trying to take a photograph and I'm like, I can't see the cake. I'm trying to figure out where the cake is.
How am I supposed to take a picture of this? Like, you know what I mean? Because even my one thing is when I always set up the cake, there's a photograph taken, and you're trying to take photographs and you're thinking, nah, you can't even see the cake in this.
No,
like,
where is it? Like, exactly. Yeah, and I suppose, and for you then, I suppose it's kind of, you know what they're planning on their setup. You don't really have to get involved in that, but you know the setup's going to go on around the cake, so you can come in and get yourself set up, and then whoever's doing the decor can sort out all of that.
Exactly. Like, because a lot of couples now these days will have their decor company coming in and what have you. You know what I mean? A lot of on-site places have decor. You know what I mean as well. Let's say that.
And some places have their own hoops now and everything. They have it like has it as standard. They're just making it a little bit easier for couples, I think.
You see a lot of hotels now are actually, I suppose, they're coming on board now with the idea like the cake needs to be a bit more of a focal point.
Yeah.
So they're getting, as you said, like the likes of
spending the money on
they're
it.
getting different stands, they're getting different decor to go around that table as well, like and making like before it was a tablecloth thrown over a table.
That was
so
it,
now
yeah.
they're getting the pleated thing, they're getting the lights, and you know what I mean, they're really making a focal point of it.
Which is nice though, because you've put the thought into the cake.
Yeah.
We had one day, and we were up the country, and they had the cake inside, and it was lovely, and it was in a lovely spot and everything. And I'll never forget, the two of us were having a quick break, and they came into us and said, "We're going to be." They were very, very good in this venue, and said, "We're going to be cutting the cake soon. It's a really lovely evening. Would you like us to bring the cake into the garden for a photo op?" And the two of us were like, "Will you bring the cake into the garden?" So they did. They brought the cake out into the garden, set it up by this it was kind of like an orangery.
Yeah.
Outside, and it was like, and they cut the cake at sunset.
Yeah,
and it was one of those things I'll never forget it, because the venue were just so accommodating.
Yeah.
They were, and they weren't afraid to kind
That's
of, this
lovely
will
to see
be
that kind of-
amazing. It was lovely. It really was.
When you get venues like that, it's unbelievable.
Yeah, and they're all about the couple. Do you know, this would be lovely for the couple, and for all the other guests as well. It'd be lovely for their photo op, and to actually just make a deal out of the cake, big deal out of the cake.
And also, I find as well, it's just another thing. When we go in as cakers, go into a room and set up the cake and what have you, as you say, sometimes, let's say, if it's at the side of the table, what have you, or, I mean, I find sometimes hotels will bring that cake into the centre of the table to bring the couple out and cut it.
Yeah.
The hotels can bring the cake out, and sometimes you get a professional photos bracket the cake, couple cutting the cake, and it's actually the back of the cake is on display.
You're serious? They actually because I suppose it's quite similar, but there might have been something simple like an initial or something on the front. Yeah,
I've seen it loads of times. So now what I do, I always have a stamp.
The top,
my stamp is at the back of the cake. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So they know
this is the back of my cake.
Yeah, they know, well, it's my logo's there at the back of it with a little stamp.
And you're probably cringing.
Take
that down.
I've seen it. So I got one there recently, and the cake, I really loved her cake. I mean, it was really ornate with golds and lace and what have you. And I took a photograph of it below, and I got 2 photographs of the photographer. Yeah. One was on display.
Okay.
And then they brought the cake out to show the couple that night to cut the cake, and it was actually, it had all flour coming down the front of it.
Okay.
And they're all, I mean, it's only the back of it. Yeah, you could only see 2 little bits of flowers.
You can almost see how it would happen though, because in that moment, that hustle and bustle of there's 200 other people in the room, they're going to cut the cake. They're all lined up already with their phones. And then you're under a little bit of pressure, and they're like, "Oh, it's there now. It's in one piece."
Take a photograph fast, and we can go back.
Take a photograph. It's done. It's done. And I suppose when it comes to the more, that's the nice tasting and the pretty side of cakes and the display. But there's a lot more to it when it comes to, allergies.
Yeah.
Is a big thing. Because I know you were saying, like, nuts, you just can't put nuts in a wedding
no,
cake, really,
can you?
Yeah.
Because if you have 200 people at a wedding, like, I know now more and more people are putting out with their invites, they have, like, allergy content and whatever. But you still can't be like, I don't do nuts for wedding cakes. It's just, I mean, the only one thing I will do is a carrot cake.
Yeah.
And because people generally accept with the carrot cake, there's walnuts in it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's kind of like widely accepted. But like when you're delivering to a venue, we have allergen labels. Okay. So all your cakes have to be your box has to be labelled with all your labels. So tier 1 top, except it's carrot cake. So you take off, like, you have eggs and you have carrots and you have milk products and you have flour and stuff like that. So you have to have that done, and then I always do it anyway. Like, I'll seek out the wedding coordinator and specifically, look, this is this, and this is this. Okay. Especially sometimes as well if you have gluten free.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people will do like gluten free cakes.
And you can do gluten free cakes.
Oh yeah. I would do a lot of gluten free biscuit cake more so than cake. And I think because
the texture probably be a little bit different. With it. Yeah.
But people, you don't know the difference with gluten free biscuit cake. Okay. You can still mix in your marshmallows or your crunchies or stuff like that into it,
and you're getting that texture.
And you're getting the texture. It's just with the normal cake, you will notice it with the flour. It's gluten free flour. But like, that's, you always tell your wedding coordinator, so like even they know in the kitchen it's to be cut separately, separate cutting knife to be kept separate.
Because as they're cutting it, you can't even use the same knife between them, because it's traces sometimes of peanuts and things like that.
That's some people have a really strong allergic reaction.
And some people aren't aware that they're allergic to it yet. Like, I've heard stories of people have kids and they've never eaten a peanut and they're 6 and now they've had their first peanut and suddenly they realise they're highly allergic to it. Yeah.
So you just have to be very careful with allergens and stuff like that.
Okay. But it's kind of, I suppose it's for the bride and groom, and then nuts is kind of a very obvious one. We have a friend who lives in America, and she's highly allergic to honey, as in she can't even like use a cream or anything. Sam will know I'm talking about it right
Yeah,
now. And actually, Sam, congratulations. While I'm there, she'll know what I'm talking about as well. But she can't even use like a cream that has a trace of honey in it because her skin will react. And it's like a case of, it's not like a small allergic reaction, it's a life and death situation. It terrifies who we're out eating with her. I'm like, are you sure there's no honey in that food? Because honey's something.
And you know what I mean? Like I had a couple of their raspberries. Yeah,
really?
Raspberries. She couldn't have raspberry. Whatever was in a raspberry, she couldn't have raspberry.
And it was like she could eat other fruits, just not raspberry.
Just not raspberries.
But like that really is then for the couple. They have to inform you of this. Like
yes,
because nothing's obvious.
Yeah,
honey and raspberries, especially raspberries.
Yeah, raspberries,
that's very much not obvious.
And let's say like you would do
ingredients.
like even a raspberry and white chocolate cake, or a raspberry and chocolate cake, but dark chocolate and raspberry cake. So you just, I mean, you have to be careful.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah, these are all things to think about. And then I suppose like when we're on the safety side of things, like you have to be certified as well, don't you?
You have to be registered. You're registered here with the health board and what have you. You have your registration number.
Yeah.
And like I'm registered as a low class business. You know what I mean? Like there's different classes, so I'm low class with wedding cakes and what have you. So you have to do like
you're not like a shop front pumping out.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So you have to constantly. You still have to do your courses. You still have to have your paperwork, your traceability. You have to keep records. There's more paperwork involved than there is in caking. Do you know what I mean? Then you have your inspections. So like your hygiene inspector will come down and she'll go through your place, or he or she will come down and she'll go through your place. Your fridge temperatures.
Because you even said they test the water there well.
Because
I
I'm
never would have thought of that.
We have to get the water tested once a year.
That's mad.
Just to make sure everything is A-OK.
Yeah. And when it comes to the actual venue, because I remember you saying this to me before, and I never would have registered this. So I know a lot of people would have a family member that, you know, they'd be handy with making a cake. And they'd be like, oh, Auntie Joan made the cake, and you know, you get Auntie up for the picture with the cake and it's lovely. And some places they'll allow the cake be in the banqueting room and it's on the premise, but they won't bring it in the kitchen.
It's more and more again now to do with let's say with your hygiene rules and regulations, what have you. Like that, do you know what I mean? I suppose what would I put it? Like for me, let's say sometimes I meet couples, right? But their aunt wants to make the fruit cake because she's made every fruit cake for the last 10
and it's a family tradition.
And you know, I love that kind of style of thing because like say even if it's the grandmother might have made 30 wedding cakes, or do you know what I mean?
It's family tradition. Like my aunt makes every cake for all of our family. Every occasion she's on and she's making a cake.
That's
always.
it. And that's nice because they want to be included in the day as well and give something to it. So like I will take that cake and I will ice it for them. I won't have it part as the wedding cake.
You'd actually ice it for them.
I will ice it for them, and it's in the kitchen then, but it's separate to the cake. It's in the kitchen as a wedding cake.
Right.
The hotel know I didn't make it. I just iced it for them.
Okay.
And like again, let's say with allergen labels, I'll have to get off the couple what went into it.
Right.
But as I said, there's a thing, a form you signed that I didn't make it. It's just it's there. I just iced it for the couple, but it's not part of their wedding cake.
Right.
But like I know more and more hotels now. Let's say if you're going in like that, I've even known there's a couple of hotels now started doing that. You have to sign the disclaimer form if you're bringing in your own wedding cake.
Right.
You can bring it in, but if it's not from a registered company or whatever or baker, you can't cut it. You can have it on display. It can be there all day.
And you can bring it home with you and cut it at home kind of
thing.
Like,
they won't allow it being cut on premises. It's just covering themselves. No, food poisoning from cake wouldn't be, you know, it's not a big thing, you know what I mean?
It's probably more the allergy side of things, is it? Like if you say this is what's in my cake, you know for a fact that, and your kitchen, I suppose, the way you prepare things, you be very kind of clear about, like, you know, I'm using this knife and this mixing bowl and
so you have to watch everything.
That's where I was looking for cross-contamination. I was like, where am I going with this word? Yeah, exactly. But that's good for people to know, I think. Yeah, it
is, because they wouldn't realise it.
No,
like, I mean,
and you take for the week of, they realise, well, that's fine, but we can't cut your cake. Like, oh no, really?
A lot more doing that now. So again, it's something to check with your venue when you go with the wedding cake. Because again, let's say a lot of people would have the couple, the aunt that wants to do the cake, and they go to the venue, and a couple of weeks before, and my aunt is making the cake because they're having their final consultation with the hotel and whatever. Aunt is making the cake. Well, yeah, you can bring it up, but you can't cover it, and all of a sudden then there's, you know what I mean?
And people, they won't mean it, but I think it's this, if you find out in that situation, you're kind of always going to take it on a negative foot. You're, like, you know, you're not going to see the positive, but look, it's okay, we can still display it, you can still say you made it, we'll eat it the day too. That's the positive way of looking. Chances are you're not going to have that reaction in that moment. Better off to be prepared. Be prepared. I like that. Be prepared.
Be olive. Isn't that the word we used to use in Scouts? Be olive, I think, be prepared.
And when it comes to, like, because I know this, it's the same with everything, there's so many options options out there when you're searching for wedding cakes. And I know, like we touched on, wedding shows are a great one because you get to see your display cakes, the designs and everything, and I suppose your artistry going on in the background, Brian, which is lovely. You can taste the cake because you do bring it with you. You get to meet you as well because, as you were saying, there's quite a few consultations. And,
you know, it's so funny because anybody that knows me, let's say my wife and daughter are brilliant, even my youngest now, and even
it's always a family affair with you. It's lovely,
Like, even the small fella now was trying to get in the seat at the moment, coming to wedding fairs, like, you know.
How old is he?
He's 4.
Oh, stop!
He loves coming. Now he'd be on the tablet, but he loves coming.
He's just eating the cake.
You know, red velvet is his thing, like. But as much as they're with me, the couple is Brian here, you know? And I go home, I get killed. They don't want to talk to us at all. Not being there, like, you know what I mean? You know, but
it's the same. If I'm not there, if Benny's not there, we're like, where are Benny or Laura? Like, if we wanted to talk to them,
That's it, like, you get to build up a relationship with couples, and like, it's so funny. Like, I have couples. Like, I've been doing this now 4.5 years, so I've had couples from their engagement cake to their wedding cake to their christening cake on one particular couple.
People do engagement cakes. I didn't even consider engagement cakes.
Not a lot, but they still.
But it's something you could do, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm on one particular couple, as I said, 4.5 years on it, and I'm on.
You're with them they're your clients for that 4.5 years.
I'm on their child is their 4th birthday. I only did the 4th birthday a couple of weeks ago, so I have them like all the way through, like, you know, and you build up a relationship with them, and I mean their friends are getting married, so like you're getting recommendations from them then as well, and also like when you're doing the wedding fairs like that, because I give a lot of cake to.
Yeah, have some cake.
To ye, the vendors and stuff as well. Like, you know what I mean? You'll get recommendations back from the vendors then as well.
There's always a crowd around your stand. And if you look closely, it's mostly the suppliers just trying to rob some cake off poor Brian. It's terrible.
I know with the last one, Brian is here, but we're just to the left of Brian if you want to find
out. So there's some delicious cake, and then there's us right here. Come over here. But and I suppose on a wedding show, that's a great one because you get to take all 3 boxes when it comes to design, taste, meet yourself. But there's other ways as well of researching cake. You don't have to go to a wedding show.
No, like there's online presence, you know what I mean, your social media might have it. All the hotels have their recommended suppliers.
That's true, actually,
and let's say like that, I know like when hotels are sending out their packs and what have you, they'll recommend suppliers as well. Okay. And I think that's another one that I mean.
And that's one to consider as well, because they're working with these people week in and week out. They're getting the feedback as well from the couples. They're in the moment. They're watching how do people react to when they saw the cake. How do people react when they were eating
the cake. They're cutting the cake as well inside in the kitchen, so they know what
that's very true.
I know one particular couple, one particular hotel, let's say, and I know when I do a lemon cake, I know there's a couple of slices goes with their wedding coordinator because she just loves the wedding cake. You know what I mean?
No, Missy, this loves the cake.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? Like, so you know what I mean? That's how you'll get recommendations that way as well. Like, you know.
And then I suppose the reviews. Like the reviews are
a big thing.
I always say reviews are a huge thing. Do you know? And it's not just the quantity of reviews; it's the quality of the reviews. You know, if it's the cake was lovely. Thanks. Do you know? And some people are great with words and other people aren't, and they genuinely mean the cake was lovely. Thank you. And that's how they mean it. But then other people they go to the time and they write these big long
essays
paragraphs
of reviews and what have you, like it's just
everything how to how the first taste, the second taste, the
that's it. Like but it is like you go like that through your reviews and what have you, and you'll get to know from there, like, do you know what I mean?
That's it. And if people are going to take the time to put a long enough review about every aspect from the first meeting to the consultations to the actual I ate the cake and it's all positive, then that's something to really go by as well.
Also, let's say afterwards I always see like that with the white chocolate biscuit cake.
Yes.
Because at Christmas times I do like these biscuit puddings
that's
at Christmas.
Right, yeah.
The grooms, I'm always like the grooms are booking in for their white chocolate biscuit cake.
So they get a chocolate biscuit cake.
It's always coming back to. I've one another couple. He gets 3 or 4 off me every single year. 3 or 4?
Yeah. Is he eating them all or is he giving them out?
No, they're just for him. He'll be open about it. They're just for me, Brian. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's a really nice idea though, because a lot of people don't like Christmas pudding.
Yeah, they get the biscuit.
But they still want the look of the Christmas pudding, the tradition of it.
Yeah.
But you get to eat biscuit cake instead. I like that. No, that's good.
And then you drop 1 or 2 off to the wedding coordinators, keep them sweet as well. You see.
Oh, I like it. I sit on your recommended list, am I say, have some cake. And I suppose social media then is a big one. And it's kind of like, because as you said, like we were saying a while ago, with the supplier wall behind, you're taking the picture yourself, because you would you document this is today's cake, and it's just seeing that somebody's out actively baking, actively supplying wedding cakes, and going to different venues, and the design is always a little bit different.
Exactly, and that you can see, do you know what I mean? Because when you're doing you know what I mean? Like, just for example, the Munster wedding, like, I really put on a big display there, and I would have, I think, 10, 12, 13 cakes there.
Yes.
But some people then will come in and they'll actually think, is that all you're doing that design-wise?
Well, there's only so much room on the table.
But exactly. I could do more. But, you know what I mean? But people will think that's what you're limited to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So I goes, no, God, you know, like, you could do the top of this. You'll personalise the design to work around the theme of your wedding. And that's always like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They just think, oh, that's what you're doing, that's it. Yeah. Whereas if you're constantly with your social media and constantly like posting stuff, they'll get to see.
It creates a portfolio, doesn't
exactly.
it? Yeah.
Do you know, and when you're seeing other brides and like posting up their stuff and they're tagging you, and then you're, oh, I seen such and such a person tagged you last night. Can you get, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I did one celebrity wedding cake there last year, and she did a thing on me there recently.
Okay.
And like my social media, like, with them, we flew up overnight, like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you're getting inquiries, emails, I seen you did such and such a cake, would you be able to do something similar? But you know what I mean, for me. And,
no, but it's good though, and I think it is important to kind of do a little bit of research.
Yeah.
Everything from, as you said, like your reviews to your social media activity to, and you have a website as well, don't you?
Oh yeah, the website is there, like, do you know what I mean?
The
Instagram, the Facebook, and, do
yeah.
you know what I mean?
You can just, and as from there it's kind of like, it's like a Build-A-Bear.
Yeah,
build your own.
Yeah, that's it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, even like you see one couple there recently said they had Lego themed. Everything was Lego themed.
Yeah, we've had a few. It's so much fun.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
So
like,
much fun.
we did a couple of Lego cakes around us, but he had like made a big crane that was lifting a cupcake, and there was a tree.
Stop! He actually did I see that? Maybe I saw it on social media. Maybe it was amazing though, because it was Lego structure around the cake.
Everything, the 3-tier wedding cake and all Lego bits around. Even they went to the extent of he actually made a 3D replica of the hotel. The table, say it for me, the venue, the ballroom.
Oh, right, okay. Say it for me, what am I saying?
All the tables set out in it, exactly where the bar was. He had people seated at the bar, all the tables. It took him hours upon hours.
That's amazing,
yeah,
though.
you can go from one extreme to the next, like, it was just unbelievable. Like, and when you
forget the decor companies, build your own Lego scene.
Like, it was just mad and nuts, like it really was. Like,
it's crazy. And I suppose once you've kind of found yourself and you look into book, there's always going to be a booking fee or something to say that you're genuinely you're going to be my baker, my wedding cake.
Yeah, you pay your booking fees about, and that secures your date.
Yes.
Like, I'll only take X amount of cakes per week. Do you know what I mean? Because you have to take.
There's only so many hours in the day, and you seem to be using all of them at the moment.
Yeah, I could do a couple more. Like, but you know what I mean?
We do it at 8 day. 8 day. Yeah.
Yeah, 8 day would be the day off. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But you would have to, just to ensure, and like to, I suppose, like that as well, book well in advance. Like, already I'm going to 2022 weddings. Yeah. And which I just find, as like, I had a couple there last week, and they said we want to book you for 2022, and it was, I think it was November 2022, and I goes,
I hope I'm going to still be around at that stage.
I turned around and I said, Jesus, I could be dust by then. Like, and they just started laughing. Well, in your mentor, well, he said, if you're dust, we'll get somebody else. But they're still booked, like, do you know what I mean? And, you know,
but it's so true though, because I think a lot of people, like, they what they call it, the big three: the venue, the band, the photographer, and that seems to be, now I know there's other variations to that, but when it comes to, like, I always say to people as well, they go, oh, we've got those done now, and we're going to sit back and we're good now for a while. And I also say, hang on, no.
Yeah,
look at
need to be booking.
cake, hair, makeup.
Yeah,
strangely enough,
like,
they book out just as fast.
Exactly.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, like, even for me, like, the majority of this year is done now and dusted.
Okay.
Since last year, 2021. Now I'm like, my New Year's Eve 2020, my Christmas 2021 is fully booked already.
Really? Okay.
And that's where people are getting into the area of, say, we do have to book them if we want to. Okay. Like, other cakers are out there will only do one cake a day, so they will fill up fast as well. Like, do you know what I mean? Okay. So, like, depending,
I suppose it depends on when your venues are as well. That you could possibly do 2 cake setups, or provide 2 cake, or 3.
Yeah, I've done
a few more.
I've done 5 on one day,
God,
but they were all local.
They were all next door to each other. Yeah, they're all
half hour each other. So I had one last year, and it was in Dublin, and that took up the whole day then, because, like, it was.
And would you kind of, what's your radius? Would you kind of, like, is it 100-kilometer radius? Is it?
Well, I did Dublin, like, so I did contact.
Was that 300 kilometres away?
Something like that. Yeah, but like, that was like a case of, like, oh, I'd have to go to Contact Castle.
Just have a look. There, like, we'll make a day of it. Yeah. Okay.
But, like, in fairness, like, the couple seen me online, they liked my style of work and what have you, and they even, I remember their consultation, they actually drove down from Dublin, did their consultation, and then went back up because they were working that evening.
Fair dues.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so when you get
you're in demand, right?
Well, when you get people like that, that's nice. Like,
but it's a lovely compliment, though. It really is. But yeah, I think that's something for people to, like, when it comes to wedding cake, don't think it'll be fine. Like, because what, you're kind of a 12 to 18 month for the
Easily.
busy seasons, are you? Okay.
And also, like, I suppose, like that as well with people, you know what I mean? Like, when you get, let's say, the likes of people coming to you to book, let's say, the likes of Kerry or Clarny, that are a good distance away, like 100 or 120 kilometres, even more away.
Okay.
Just consider your cake, what type of cake, you know what I mean? Like a buttercream cake or a naked cake won't travel that far.
No, it has to be in the back of the van somewhere.
Do you know what I mean? So I always recommend... This is 5 miles an hour going down the road, like, do you know what I mean?
You never get there.
And inside camera, make sure the cake is okay. But like I always say, like that, do you know what I mean? If it's that kind of side of the cake, get somebody that's local to you. Like I would have couples that are coming to me, who are looking for a naked cake, but like it's 120 kilometres away, and I would have people, look, these are local to you. Maybe contact them and see.
But that's very good of you to do that. That you're not just saying, oh yeah, I'll take the business, because you're being realistic about the fact that I can't deliver what you've seen because it's just too far away.
Exactly, but like you want to keep, like, okay, I could say, look, a naked cake. Alright, I could go with that, and I could say, oh yeah, look, there's 2.5 hours in the cake. I know my heart and soul. That's not feasible, and the cake wouldn't taste as nice as if I'm only travelling half an hour with it.
So just melt.
Exactly. Like, if you want to put the cake out there and keep it as fresh as possible, it's your reputation is out there as well at the end of the day. So like, get somebody local where you know the cake will be fresh and what have you. Like, you don't want a couple coming back and saying, like, you know, it was 2.5 hours in the van and it didn't taste nice. So
it's all about, like, you're as good as your last job. Is that the same?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. That's it.
And because you've mentioned before, you've always been into baking. It's like it wasn't just like, you know, I'd love to be a wedding cake maker, because you do all sorts. You do sometimes your birthdays, do you?
If I have time. Yeah. January, February. Communions every year. Communions is like, it's
don't talk to me about May.
Mental May, as we call it.
Because the weddings are just as busy in May. May is just as busy for weddings.
When you know, they say it's communion season, right? The minute the school announces their days, that night, that week is nearly full. That weekend is full. There's one. The phone's already
ringing off the hook, is it?
I swear it's non-stop. Like, the emails come in and what have you. Do you know what I mean? There's one particular school now, and they put the kibosh on it last year. Because normally it's into September. Schools go back to September. The dates are out.
Right.
This school put the date out in the mid-June, before they broke up for holidays, and that night, within 2 nights, my weekend for that weekend in
probably
June
better for you, though, that you have a little bit more, I suppose, in advance, that you can set that diary in place.
But you know, every year, like, it's meant to be, like, you know what I mean? There's no,
because they are like mini weddings, though.
They are, aren't they? And it's not just single, it's 2 tiers and 3 tiers and what have you. Like,
and there'll be full cake cuttings going on and all sorts. That's mad.
I've seen photographers and stuff at them, and like your cake display and do little cookies.
It's kind of scare me a little bit.
It is.
It's full on. It's full on. But Nikki, you've always loved baking. Because you told me a story before about being the only boy in a home ec class.
I used to go to Christian Brothers School, and I used to go down to the local convent to study home economics. I was the only one, about 400 girls.
Like, so you were literally the only boy surrounded by women. I suppose, like, not back then, but when it was then.
Oh, it was a big thing.
It was like you would do woodwork if you were a boy, because you were going to be
no interest in whatsoever. And I remember, like, you going down there, let's say, all the lads, let's say, because like they were like the 13, 14, 15-year-old, and they had the girlfriends down to Laura Redhead convent. I was like the local postman as well, bring the love letters up and down to the school, and I was just.
Brian, I love that.
Yeah, it was brilliant. Like, you know, but like, and like, some of my best friends are girls. It's just because like
you were surrounded by women.
Yeah, do you know what I mean? We've been friends there, like, do you know what I mean? And we're still friends and what have you. I've done their wedding cakes and been to their weddings and what have you. Like, and do you know what I mean? I've one particular friend. Do you know what I mean? She's actually in England and what have you. We're always messaging each other, and like, we're still the best of friends, and that's like. Long time ago.
A few years,
a good few years. But do you know what I mean? I've made good friends from that. But like, it used to be and if you bake something, then by the time you get back to the school, like the lads in your class, like, you just get hammered. Like, you'd have nothing going home. Like, do you know what I mean? But
bringing treats. You were so since you've been a teenager, you've been providing cake to friends and family.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, non-stop. Like, do you know what I mean? And then I went to Birmingham. I did 3 years. I went to college in Birmingham and did a diploma course in bakery over there. And then I came back here and I worked in a bakery for. A long time as well. And I was supervising a bakery for the past 15 years. And
then you decided, right.
I set baker by cakes up part-time just to give it a shot and see what way it would go and what have you.
Because it is a big step.
Oh God, yeah.
To what if you're doing anything, going out on your own is always that very scary time that you
will
think.
I get the business? Will I get the orders? You know what I mean?
And you work hard and you put your heart and soul into it, and you really hope people will see that. But there's a chance that it's nothing's definite. Nothing's 100% in life.
No, that's why I suppose I walked it off for 2 years part time first.
Okay.
And then I could see that the orders were coming in and what have you. And
the hours were getting shorter and shorter.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, family life was just nuts and what have you. Like, so I said, right, look, let's take a chance.
Okay.
And it worked
out. It worked out really well.
Yeah. Really
I suppose I know you work really busy hours, but you do, as you said, you bake from home.
Yeah.
So you are at home.
Yeah,
so
I am
you
there.
Get to be there for the kids.
Yeah,
which is
I was
lovely
never
and,
for Matthew, I suppose, because he's the youngest. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The rest of them were all at I was working when they were at school.
Okay.
So do you know what I mean? It fell to Liz, let's say, to run and do the pickups and the whole lot. Whereas now I can.
And fairness to Liz, she's a saint.
Oh, don't even go there.
She's always got this big smile on her face.
Yeah.
And is the most polite person I've ever met.
Yeah.
She just don't know how busy she is.
Without them and the support of them,
That's
I wouldn't be where I am either.
Yeah.
And because you know what I mean, it's just it's just unreal, I suppose, the support, because at the end of the day, okay, it's you that you're trying to put yourself out there, but they have to put up with you then at home.
Well, this is it. You're taking the risk on behalf of everybody,
that's
aren't
it,
you?
As Liz said, she always calls it Willow Wonka chocolate factory, with the chocolate everywhere, and she's chocolate hands are everywhere, do you know what I mean?
I think I'd be morbidly obese if I lived with you, Brian. I would just be constantly eating cake. I don't think I'd ever get sick of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, seriously. Would you?
Yeah, you do.
Do you ever find you're I'm done with cake?
Yeah, I have a ferocious sweet tooth.
Okay.
And now you
maybe
have
be
to
the
taste
best diet ever.
You have to taste your cake because you still want to know what you're putting out there, but it's
the tiniest.
It's the tiniest bit, because you still have the taste and you still want to know what's right when it's going out there, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? One of my pet peeves is, let's say, if I do a Bailey's chocolate biscuit cake or a Bailey's cake, and my pet peeve is if you go to a restaurant and you order a Bailey's cheesecake, that no one didn't even see the bottle of Bailey's, not to mind, do you know what I mean? Whereas there's Bailey's in it, there's a health warning, as you mentioned, I can't even drive after this. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So you're always tasting to make sure that the flavours are correct, or if you say there's orange or rabbit, you need to taste the stuff within it,
Yeah, that's an awful side of the job, right?
It's a wicked
that's
God,
awful.
you know what I mean?
You poor thing.
But my kids are poor things because they're coming and tasting the stuff as well, do you know what I mean? So the offcuts, you know what I mean? They love it,
Yeah, but you get to do what you love every day.
Yeah.
Which is lovely. Yeah. Really
and meeting people.
Yes.
I love I know the consultations, I did 8 couples now last Saturday, the consultation.
Really?
And it's a long day.
Yeah.
It's a lot of talking in, information taking in, but you're going in there then and you're having the crack with the couples, you're getting
everyone has their own story, doesn't they?
Yeah, and it's so funny, let's say, when it comes to what's the dress like, and they're kicking the lads out, or they're kicking the Viber message to show you a picture of the dress so you're able to see, so you're getting all that information before they get it, and you have a good relationship.
You're on the inside. You're
exactly.
on the inside.
And make sure you delete that photograph now after seeing it, you know, you're getting.
But I love that about it. I think the people is what I love most about it. Yeah. You get to meet the most amazing characters.
That's it. You really do. You know what I mean?
People, you be in kind of a bit of a tired mood, or I'm under pressure, I'm stressed, and then you meet someone and they just put you in the best mood because they're just so excited about their wedding day. It's true though. You're feeding off their positivity, aren't you? Yeah.
Like kids, for one of them, and they're wired to the moon, and that's just.
And it's so exciting. It's so exciting.
That's it. It's
everything.
And you want to know then everything, what they're doing. You know what I mean? What's the dresses, the colour, and because I suppose when you're designing the cake, to me everything comes into play.
Okay.
From the wedding dress, the bridesmaid dresses, the flowers. Even down to if there's lace on the dress, pearls, diamonds.
How can it be brought in?
Exactly, do you know what I mean? Even down to their invites. So let's say if they have a particular font on their invites, so if they want their inscriptions on it, you'll work with that. Or sometimes I've seen saying on invites. Okay. So they might have sayings, a couple would be into sayings. So there's a saying on their invites, there's sayings on their place names and stuff like that. And you'll bring sayings into the cake, so you'll hand paint them onto the cake. So the more information you get about the wedding. Yeah. I've met couples there with no team going through the wedding. And yet when you're talking to them, okay, you've loved her.
There's a very definite team going on here.
But because they're so wrapped up in it, they don't see it, if you know
they
what
don't realise what they've done. They've just done it subconsciously. It's
and
just
then
there.
You say, look, you have that there, and they go, God, and they stand back you know what I mean? They realise, oh, we do, and that's when you'll get the design and the cake out of them.
Because I asked that question a lot as well, do you have a theme? And they go, no, it wouldn't be. And then there is, it's very much there.
Also,
it's there,
you have to take in your venue as well, whether it is your country house, your modern hotel and what have you, you don't want a real old vintage style wedding cake in a big modern hotel.
That's it.
Do you know what I mean? So you take everything like that comes into play as well.
There's so much you think about.
Oh yeah.
Because you see these cakes, you go, that's lovely.
Yeah. It's not a case of like, no, okay, we'll throw something together, like whatever. Like, so
it'll be grand. We won't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Like with flowers, as I said, people I love the sugar flowers on cake.
Yeah.
So you're onto the florist and
because I suppose you're trying to get exactly what they're going to have in the bouquets and
so a lot of florists will do like mood boards. So you're contacting the florist and they're emailing on the mood board. And
you probably deal with a lot of the same people though as well in the area,
yeah.
which is great. You get a good relationship with them as well. That you can work together.
Exactly, without a doubt. Like, you know what I mean? As I said, even with photographers as well. Like, you know what I mean? You're sending them picture messages afterwards, or you'll get a message.
Have you got a picture of the cake?
That's it. Like, I seen your cake today. Like, you know what I mean? Because as I said, I put a little stamp on the back of it, which is baked white cake.
I usually go and check and go, that's Brian's.
Yeah. And then you get the photograph. I have your cake here.
I have your cake, Brian.
No,
but it's good though because it's nice to work with suppliers as well. That you kind of know when it's a friendship. It becomes a big community.
Yeah, because you'll get couples coming into you, a cake or whatever, or the hairdresser. One of the couples they had the other day, at the consultations, and she told me straight out she went to her hairdresser, and she was at trials her hairdresser going back last year, just to figure out if she wanted this particular person, and she said, I'm stuck now for a caker. And the hairdresser said, "Oh, look,
have you thought of a brain?"
I'm always getting samples at him at wedding fairs, and they're massive. Like, so she booked me then. Like, do you enjoy that? Like, so
it's all word of mouth at the end of the day.
Yeah,
that's true. And I suppose because there's so much to cake, and I think we've probably given people
too much
a lot to like literally digest. But if there was one piece of advice you'd give someone, what would the one piece of advice be? When it comes to wedding cakes, I love asking people this question because they always go, "There's so much I want to tell people."
I suppose one thing is do what you want to do. Don't go on trend. If you're, do you know what I mean? It's your day. Do it for your personality. Okay, yes, it can, let's say, fit in with the dress and whatever. But if you're going for something quirky, make it about you. So, like, if it's into, like, if you're dogs, or you're into Star Trek, or you're into hiking, or like, I know I'm doing a cake for a couple. I think it's sometime in June, or what have you. And they're both into hiking.
Right.
And hill walking. So that's what the cake is being based around. Because even the front of their invites have a picture of them. Do you know what I mean? So there's so much you can do about it. You know what I mean? Don't be going for something.
Because there's always these articles being released, these features and blogs about 2020 colours, 2020 themes, 2020, and it is helpful to people. And if you kind of just exactly. But I think you're right. Don't forget who you are.
Exactly, because
it doesn't
I know
matter what the 2020 colour is if you don't like it.
As I said last year, I think it was coral was one of the main colours. For the whole year, I only did 2 coral wedding cakes.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
But you probably helped people and inspired them to, you don't have to do that. And you're kind of drawing it out of people.
Yeah.
What do you like? Who are you? And some people are very kind of like, this is who I am, this is what I like, go for it.
Yeah.
And then some people, they don't realise that they actually, like, everyone has a personality. Yeah. And it's just something that I think people are afraid to kind of share that a little bit, isn't it? Yeah.
At the consultations, they're sitting down, and next when you're talking to them all about the flavours, and then you're showing them all the photographs, and you can see their face go, holy
confusion.
Crap.
Yeah.
I didn't realise there was this much involved with cake. Do you know what I mean? I've had couples come in and they can't even, because they've got such a fright that there was so much involved in it, they can't do any more. Like, look, we'll have to think about this and then come back to it. And then you're
literally
with the photographs. Okay, now we actually just really didn't realise.
But it is, you walk into a room and you go, that's beautiful, that tastes great, and you think nothing more about it, and that's how it should be.
Yeah.
On the other side, it should look effortless and beautiful, but there's so much.
Yeah, that's it. Like, I mean, I've had couples then come in, and let's say, I had a couple last year, and they came in with a file of X.
Are you serious? Monica from Friends moment. Okay.
I was looking at the cakes like that. And you know what I mean? As much as cakes, she like
the
top of
yours.
this, the side of this, the head of that. She actually went back into the very first cake she loved in the first place.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and I find that as well. Like, do you know what I mean? People would get confused. There's so much stuff out there, but I always come back to the first cake you like.
Okay.
If you like something, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And actually, there's one thing I want to ask you before we end this: seasons. Do seasons ever kind of have an impact on cakes? So, like, if you're having a Christmas wedding, do you find that people kind of go a Christmas theme? I haven't seen it too often.
No.
Okay.
I did a lot of cakes over Christmas this year. I think I'd only one Christmas themed wedding cake.
Okay.
I think when it comes to that, let's say people are so just fed up with Christmas at that stage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yes, the the bridesmaids' colours might be the reds or, the greens and stuff like that. But there isn't much else than with Christmas
there wouldn't be
themes.
Reindeer and
No,
Santas
they're not going to. One or two will, but not necessarily.
You're Christmas mad.
No. Yeah. I think more so, I find for Christmas weddings, it's more so for couples that are away and they're coming back to get married. I do a lot of that because they know the families are on the Christmas.
That's true.
Or teachers or some people that are off over Christmas.
Okay.
And that's when they're getting married.
Yeah. Because I know, I always, I don't know why, I always kind of in my head, I thought naked cakes, because there's so much fruit, I always think summer.
I do.
But you were saying it's not, though. It's
a lot more naked cakes around Christmas time and around that time of the year.
But it would work really. I don't know why. I think it's the freshness of the fruit. That's why I'm kind of thinking strawberries summer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
but
I just don't. I suppose a lot of that as well. Then depending on your summer.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, okay, the summer's here in Ireland. You know,
every 4 or 5 years might get a bit of sunshine.
Like we had, was it 2 or 3 years ago? We had that big heat wave.
It was too hot.
Oh, sweet.
I was melting.
Yeah, trying to do cakes then is a nightmare.
There was people fainting. They were sweating. There was cakes like melting. Like they didn't say any yours melt, but there was this cheese.
Cheese towers.
And the cheese is sweating.
Yeah. I've seen it. I've heard
rolling up. And you're like, oh no. Because we don't do aircon. Because it's never warm here.
A lot of hotels, I'm surprised they don't have aircon. So like a lot of that time what we was actually putting out was actually dummy cakes on display.
You'd have to.
And then the real cakes were in the kitchen for as a cutting cake. Like.
It was getting up to 38 degrees some days and there was no aircon. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, you're going in setting up your cake and you're like passing out with the heat. Not to mind having a cake.
I think we all lost a few pounds that summer. We sweated it off.
Without a doubt, like, do you know what I mean? Like, so.
Okay, so there's not really a seasonal. Okay,
I don't think so.
That's good to know. Yeah. That you don't have to be like, right, I'm having a Christmas wedding, so I need to have a Christmas cake.
No.
Okay, I like that.
You can do it, but like it's not generally accepted. Okay. Do you know what I mean? Like it's not.
Yeah.
Again, I suppose like that's kind of been like, how would you put it? Like. Sticking with everybody. It's Christmas time, we'll go with Christmas.
It's all back to being yourself.
Yeah, it's just back to being yourself.
I like that.
Do what you want to do and whatever, and not what everybody. I've seen it before with friends.
Okay.
I mean, 5 or 6 friends getting married and they're doing it 1 year after the other.
Yeah.
And it's so funny at
times. You see the same group of people. You do that, don't you?
Then go to the 5 chair for the last friend. Like it's
keeping
so
up with
funny.
the Joneses.
Yeah, it's so funny. Like, you know
each wedding gets slightly bigger.
Yeah. Like, you do what you want to do. It's your day. It's your wedding.
Yeah.
As I said, the only thing I will say is about the flavours. You've got to think of kind of flavours that will be eaten.
Yes.
As I said, if you want to do something that's really nice that the two of you love together, keep it for the top tier.
Because the parents could be bringing quite a number of their friends and they're a different generation and the taste is different for different generations, I think.
Fruitcake is a major thing for the older generations, I always
And you still make a fruitcake now and then? Do you ever get asked?
It's my grandmother's recipe and it has strawberries and everything goes into it. Yeah.
My
grandmother and my mum used to got me into baking like a long time when we were small.
So you were never going to go any other direction.
No. It was inbuilt into me like from day one. Like, you know what I mean? Like even my grandmother the old thing was you'd heat the tins beside the fire before you put your cake batter into them. Yeah, and I remember her like heating the tins beside the fire, like and putting her batter and stuff.
Everything took so much longer to do that. Like it was all manual. The muscles they'd have in their arms.
The wooden spoon.
Mixing it.
The wooden spoon was used for 8 cake mixes or hitting you with one or the other. Like
depending on the moment.
Exactly.
Exactly. Because you've won many awards over the years as well, Brian, and I have to put that in there because you have, in fairness, like you kind of the amount of times that post up on social media. There he is with another trophy. Well done, Brian. But it is though because like it stands to you because like I think we got a good feel of who you are today. Like I've tasted a lot of your cake. I can tell you all now that the cake is amazing, and the designs are unbelievable. And like you do your heart and soul is in this business. And I think that does.
Yeah, it makes a difference.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? And like I mean, every caker works really hard. You know what I mean? It's when you're on this side of the fence, like, and you see the hours because even sometimes
I don't know how you do it. I love sleeping. Like at night, I have to sleep.
No. It's just it's there. You know what I mean? Like say sometimes you'll be there at night time and you could be 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning. And you're messaging the other cakers, we're all up.
You're
so
all
there's a message going between the 5 or 6 of us, like we're all up.
Like gathering,
chocolate cake here. Do you know what I mean? So we're all messaging each other at that hour at night because we all know we're up at the same time, like working away. Like, do you know what I mean?
Where credit you though, Brian. In fairness. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I hope there'll be a few more this year now as well.
One now in a couple of weeks' time, so we can see. Like,
we're there as well, so we might all come home with something. You never know.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
We'll all come back going, didn't win anything.
Nothing.
Useless. But Brian, thank you so much for coming in. And you shared so much, in fairness. I think there was, because when it comes to cake, as you said, a lot of couples have come in and they've said, oh, I didn't realise so much was in cake. This kind of gives people a little bit of a heads up, I suppose, in a sense.
I suppose that people as well will get to see from the other point of view, like the people, I know, and it's an awful thing, my pet peeve, it's only cake. It's only a cake, but they don't get to see the other side of things that we get to see, let's say, from your baking of it. Your ingredients, like say on a Monday, let's say, so you're sitting down making your stock list, your work list, emails, messages, text messages, Instagram, you know what I mean? Designing your cake, flowers, contacting the flowers, hotels, that all, do you know what I mean?
So it's not... Oh, and actually, this is my long goodbye. I'm always doing the long goodbye. I start saying goodbye and then I think of something else to say before. Brexit.
Oh yeah.
I'm just going to throw that word out there. Brexit.
Yeah, it will affect me from the point of
Doesn't
view.
affect me at all. I'm just going to put it out there because it affects
It
you.
does affect me with icing and stuff coming in from the UK.
Yeah.
I would get all my icing from the UK. Now there is Irish suppliers. It's just this particular brand of icing that I love to make. It's just every caker has their own brand that they like, and there's so many different brands, but this is my brand, and I get it in from the UK. And at the moment, because it lasts up to 12 months. I have currently about a 6 month supply of it in stock room.
It's like one of the bedrooms at home has just been cleaned out.
Well, I have a storeroom. It's icing. And I've been buying icing since we know. That's why I haven't paid penny to my name over the past 6 months, because I'm buying icing. Like, you know what I mean? I can't wait for this year.
Yeah, but that's great. But you might have to look elsewhere.
Yeah, that's it. Like, no, they will come back on board with us, and they said they will, but it'll just take a while with customs and excise and stuff until everything falls into place. Like,
just another thing to throw into the time that you already didn't have.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry,
Sure, look,
I just had to throw that in the end there. Brexit.
Yeah.
Do you know, why not?
It affects everybody.
It affects everybody.
Yeah.
Brian, thanks for coming.
No bother, thanks a million for having me.